What's going on, guys, ladies, and gentlemen? Hey, man, it's Dukes and Bell. Happy Friday. We are at Kroger today. Check that. Publix today. Publix, right there off of Piedmont. Literally, if you guys come out and hang out with us at Twin Peaks, it's right across the street, guys. So easy location right there on Piedmont. And Mike, our friends from Sweetwater, are going to be out there hanging out. We're at the Pour Bar. That's what they're calling it. So come by, get a brew, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be our first time hanging out at Publix. We said this. The morning show's been there a couple of different times, and Day and O talk about all they talk about is the great food that they're serving there with the bars and stuff. So we're looking forward to checking it out for the first time today. With that said, we also have BMAC, who's going to join us from CBS Sports, talk some NFL, guys. We're getting ready for the Combine. Mike and I, Day and O, will give our thoughts on what we're looking at as we head into next week. And our buddy Grant McCauley makes his first stop in for the Braves conversation as we get ready for spring training games to get underway, and we'll get Grant's thoughts today as well. Mike, Hawks win last night, man. Good win on the road, I thought, against the 76ers.
Was worried about our boy Steve Holman. Bang! Thought he was going to have freaking heart attack last night. It was home cooking. It was a bad start. Guess the refs moved down to Mexico for spring break too, and came back a little sleepy because the refs were terrible last night. But they had to battle the refs, and they came back with a really good performance, strong in the second half. And it was interesting. I heard Jalen Johnson's comments because that's the team we're chasing right now. We are 5 games behind the Sixers for the final locked-in playoff spot. Whether or not that's the objective for the team, we don't know. But I heard Jalen Johnson talk about, if the team can come together, he thinks they got a shot. Now, I know that's kind of like standard, player speak. But in our case, with the new faces, it's legit. If we can get, Jonathan Kuminga on the floor at some point for these final 25 games, maybe they do have a shot of surprising some folks.
Yeah, are you surprised, Dede or about this locker room comment? Look, we spent a lot of time when Trey was here talking about the locker room and the divisiveness of whatever was going on, whether everybody was on the same page, whether Trey was a true leader. This is Jalen's team, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Jalen's team. Now we can say that. Okay, so is that good that he's talking about everybody coming together, or do you want him to be more demonstrative in talking about getting everybody on the same page?
No, I thought it was good to hear. I mean, obviously it's what you need to hear right now because, again, to Jalen's point, if they want to make any type of push as far as whether it's, maintaining, staying in the top 10 or even getting out of that top 10, there's got to be some cohesiveness, right, in that locker room. And that includes the new pieces coming in. It will be interesting to see how Jonathan Kuminga fits in once he is available. But no, I had no problems with what he said. And hopefully this is something they can build off of. It was a great game for them in the sense of they had they did well in transition points. They did really well with points in the paint last night. Excuse me, which we know that's something they've kind of struggled with off and on throughout the year. So let's see if they can keep it going, man. I had no issues with what he said. I think it's kind of what you need to hear at this point if they want to make a real push.
Oh, let me ask you something because I know you follow the NBA a lot more than most. Anybody gonna beat the Pistons in the East? I mean, they destroyed
the Lord, man. It's funny too that you mentioned that because Mike Brown last night talked about how they had a plan to stop Cade Cunningham. The Knicks did. It did not go well. Did not go well at all right now. It's going to be interesting to see as the season continues for the Pistons if they continue playing as well as they can. The pressure starts to ramp up a little bit for them. So it's not so much about, the expectations during the regular season. All right, that's great. You're doing all this stuff right now, 40 points last night. Can you duplicate that success when it becomes that 5-7 game series like that? How does that translate now when it's a game-by-game basis, a possession-by-possession basis where everything gets both kind of magnified and minimized at the same time? So, but right now, though, they're playing really well. There's a toughness about that Pistons team that, I mean, we kind of saw it with the fight they had with Charlotte a couple weeks ago and Isaiah Stewart and company running off the bench trying to go and beat up people. But yeah, you're not going to go into a series against the Pistons and intimidate them.
Right.
You're not going to go into a game against Detroit this year and intimidate them, which that says a lot about the mental makeup of that basketball team.
Yeah, I just bring it up because right now they look like they're going to be the team in the East We will see no Duran, no Stewart last night because of the fight that O's talking about. And they just went in. They've owned the Knicks this year. And so everybody's talking about, okay, maybe they are legitimate if you weren't believing that. Hawks back in action tonight, by the way, at State Farm Arena. So back-to-back situation. We'll see if we can build on what they did last night. Mike, what are your thoughts on the Combine, man? It starts Monday. All these teams, GMs, coaches will be making their way up to Indy this weekend and getting ready for what I think is going to be a very interesting combine because this draft is deep, man. This is one of those years, Mike, I wish we had 10 picks. I really do.
I know for that first pick. We got James Pierce Jr. in limbo, and maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't, maybe he never plays again. But, yeah, look, you're not going to watch the whole combine. If you do, then you keep an arm's length from me if I ever run into you in a Falcons game because you're I don't know, you're in the spectrum. But as far as this for us, we're looking for 40 times for those defensive tackles. We're looking for wide receivers. We're looking for guys. You all know the names that are projected to be the top 5. We're not talking the first round because we're not going to be in the first round. But I'm looking for those guys who from Texas Tech pops it maybe falls to us, who from Georgia maybe falls to us, or we arranged to maybe move up and it's manageable for Ian Cunningham. Our first year, Ian Cunningham's in charge of the draft. But yeah, corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and what kind of wide receiver do you want? We discussed. Do you want to try to find a center off the tree? Are we going to try to roll with Newsel? We're trying to get more athletic. So a lot of questions I'm looking forward to. Again, the net results. I don't know about you guys. I'll just look at the times and look at those breakdowns once it's over. But it would be interesting for us if we could pick up a starting tackle in the second round.
Yeah, I agree. Look, picks, the luxury is to have as many picks as you possibly can, which is something that Ian Cunningham believes in. I think as we move forward with him, he's going to be making deals to stack picks and gain more maneuverability through these drafts as we move forward. But Dede, What are you looking for the Combine, man?
Kind of going to be probably paying most attention to wide receivers and then to Mike's point, edge as well, because I am kind of the whole JPJ thing is just very, you just got to wonder what the mindset is in regards to that. I'm also going to be paying attention to see to the quarterbacks, believe it or not, because, again, if the Kirk Cousins things doesn't work out, if he decides he does not want to stay here, regardless of what's placed in front of him as far as an offer, is there someone in the draft versus a journeyman, bringing in a journeyman? Is there someone in the draft that could be, picked up in the later round that maybe potentially could just, look, just hold the ship steady, son, because you guys brought up Drew Aller. He was on Josh Kendall's list yesterday. So those are kind of the 3 I'll be paying most attention to, but in particularly probably wide receiver because we know Darnell Mooney. Look, we didn't get the production out of wide receiver 2 last year that we thought that we needed. So is there going to be somebody out there that also maybe could fall? It's going to be interesting to see what you do with that pick in the second round because what's kind of there, So I feel like it's going to come down to edge and wide receiver.
All right, so into round 1, into day 2, which will be Friday in April. This is a deep draft for defensive tackle. This is why I think the Falcons will focus on this position. I'm not saying the guy they want will be there. We'll see. But, guys, just to lay this out, you got Clemson's Peter Woods, defensive tackle. And, by the way, they're all different. All these guys some are big pluggers, some are big run stoppers, some are gap shooters. It's all about how Jeff Ulbrich is going to run this defense. But you've got Ohio State's Caden McDonald, Texas Tech, to Mike's point, Lee Hunter, Georgia's Christian Miller. There's a bunch of guys that could potentially be there at the end of the first round. And if you wanted to try to make a move or into the day 2, the kid we had from Florida, Caleb Banks, is going to potentially be there.
Stud. Everybody's not 6'6", monster.
Yeah. Everybody's not taking D tackles. And I'm saying this is a deep D tackle draft. So that's why I think that is one position they could target and still get a very, very good player. Oh, what are you watching for the Combine next week?
I'm going to go off the beaten path here, guys, because of Ian Cunningham's comments about one of the best player available.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the workout warrior, guys. I'm looking to see the guys who stand out, who are the biggest, who are the fastest, who are the strongest guys, because I think also, too, we're going to see a team next year that's not going to be as small as it was this year. Joe Patrick talked about how with Bill Callahan, he's a bigger offensive lineman type of guy. So maybe New Zealand is not the guy at center they want because of his size. Maybe there's a bigger guy out there they want. We need that nose plugger, that big plugger in the middle. Maybe it's a guy like Lee Hunter. Maybe there's a defensive lineman with size out there that they're looking for. So, like, talk about Carl, size matters. I'm looking for big guys out there who are going to go test really, really well, whether it be a defensive lineman, whether it be an offensive lineman, a receiver, or a cornerback. Just somebody with size is going to be on this team next year to help us out.
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. I mean, like, I just feel like the bigger and more talented your skill guys are, man, the harder you are to beat. And it's no disrespect to these small guys, but Mike said it for years about Grady, and was he out of position? Were they playing the right defense? And it is what it is. But as far as the draft and free agency, and this is one of the last things we'll get into today. Obviously, we're live at 2 Guys. Again, Publix right there off of Piedmont. Thanks to our friends at Sweetwater. We'll be at the Pour Bar inside, by the way, inside. So come hang out with us. If you get a chance, stop by, say hello. What is the approach for you guys, Mike, for draft versus free agency for us? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, didn't we pick up some free agent guy from San Diego or the Raiders last year that played edge tackle? He didn't make the team.
Defensive
line.
I mean, yeah.
So who are we going to try to find or spend some money? Would we make a play? We don't. Guys, I've already had people say, we got to go get Max Crosby. They're going to want stuff. I mean, everybody thinks this is like trading baseball cards. You got to have to give to get. And we don't have all that those draft picks. One thing, real quick, just to double down on the draft, if you do the mocks, and I know it's nerdy, but maybe Ian Cunningham drops down in some of those middle rounds and picks up some extra picks. There's just something to watch and see what he does. But, yeah, I love the idea of maybe trying to find – I said Wan'Dale Robinson. He might be out of our price range. A real stretch-the-field receiver for the Giants. I mean, he's not the most consistent catcher, but, man, he's athletic and he's fast and he's tall. So I thought that'd be a nice compliment. But maybe go free agent for wide receiver. Because if you feel that you got a guy you can plug in this offense. Yeah, so that was my thought. Because offensive line, the center list, there's never a long list of centers. If you could look at it, there's some names out there, but that might be one way to address the center issue.
Megan Fox, Mike. That's who it was. Morgan Fox. That was the guy
we kept saying. I remember I kept saying we just picked up Megan Fox. Awesome. Can't wait to see her. No, it was Morgan Fox. So got to do better than that if we're going to go free agent edge rush.
Running back day. If we need one, and we're all assuming we will, are you going to go free agent route there? Free agent route?
Oh, are we all froze?
No, we're good. We're watching you maybe freeze up.
Yeah, I think I like.
We didn't freeze. You froze. A frozen rock landed on you.
I didn't know. Is it me?
Yeah, it was you.
It's you, baby.
What are you doing at the running back?
I could go either way. Honestly, free agent or but you know what? I would probably prefer draft. I think you can find you a good solid back in the draft, late round. Just because from a free agency standpoint, I think money spent wise needs to be focused more so either, to your point, Carl, defensively, either on that defensive line. We still got the cornerback situation is still kind of up in question as well. So I think I would probably prefer them maybe try to see if they can find someone in the draft versus going at free agency, just to keep the money, keep the money, the resources being able to be allocated towards defense if need be.
I think that's a smart play because running backs are fairly cheap. And if you do it in the draft, you're getting younger, faster in most cases, right? And more healthy, considering, the mileage on some of these free agent running backs. The problem is there'll be some names out there. And I think as we get into this process, Mike, in March, there'll be fans going, oh, man, Isaiah Pacheco. Like you're hearing the names and you're like, slow down. Like, Pacheco, when a guy that's been injured, I'll just tell you, it's like, I don't know if I want that.
No, I think, what we've said it a million times on the show, and most good franchises can find that running back in the middle rounds. We did with Devontae Freeman, with Tevin Coleman, with skill positions. We got Harry Douglas was a third rounder, so, hopefully we'll be able to find some value there because I think the only specifics about if we lose Algier, which we will, is a guy like Algier, a thunder to the lightning of Bijan, the guy that can move the pile. And that's what's so tough. In a perfect world, we'd be able to keep Tyler, but he's going to make more loot somewhere else.
Any thoughts, though? Free agency, draft, what's your approach?
Running back is always tricky when you go and you get a guy in free agency because they might not want the role that they're coming in for. Like, I'd rather get a running back in the draft. It's cheaper that way, too. This is a position where we found the last couple in the draft. So at that point, just use the free agent money you have to sort of plug in those spots on defense. You don't know what's going to happen with D. Alford at corner. That's the guy maybe bring back or look to replace because Billy Bowman, the Achilles, he's not going to be ready probably for the start of the season. You're going to have to upgrade at pass rush. if James Pearson's not here next year, you're gonna have to upgrade the defensive line if you don't find a guy in the draft. So I feel like there's more pieces on defense that can be addressed through free agency than what you can do offensively.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, guys. And again, we are going to learn a little bit more about the general manager and Ian Cunningham and the approach and the direction of where they're going to go with this draft. And maybe it tells us more about Kevin Stefanski and his input as well. They're all saying, you know, they're going to allow these guys to do their jobs. Matt said he's not the head coach, so he's not going to call who the starting quarterback is. He's not the GM, so that means Ian Cunningham is going to direct this draft process and certainly the combine process. So we're going to get a chance to see. A couple of things today. One, I have never been more disappointed than I was last night. I will tell you guys why and what happened last night.
That's
and
a
Mike,
tease.
I am excited about the possibility of what may happen that was announced today. Tune in today at 2:00. We'll tell
That's
you
a tease.
about
That's
that.
the kind of show I would want to see.
I
Again,
hope so.
guys, we're going to be at Publix I can't wait to see what this pour bar is all about right there at Piedmont, kind of like the disco Publix with our buddies at Sweetwater.
It might be one tap, which is plenty.
That's all I need.
Hey, as long as it's pouring, right?
As I said on the show yesterday, is it going to be bad form if I'm eating like an 8-piece fried chicken from the Publix deli while I'm wolfing down some Sweetwater? Is that frowned upon? We'll find out.
All
During
right,
the break is fine.
We'll see. But make sure you tune in. Never been more disappointed. Could not believe it.
And he was not disappointed at me, I don't believe. We'll find out.
No, it had nothing to do with you.
Excellent.
Take yourself
Always
out
have to check. Always have to check.
Take yourself out of it. It always doesn't have to do with you.
Good.
All right?
No, I was getting
Put it
nervous.
aside.
No, because whenever you say something like that, people go, "Oh, what did Mike do?" I mean, I didn't do anything.
We'll talk to you guys at 2:00. Take care.